Hi, this is Dave. I was asked by a friend the other day for some advice on buying a new laptop. So this didn't exist at the time, and I wish it had. So I decided to make it. For advice on buying a laptop. This was made in January 2020, and the reason for dating it is that advice of this nature goes out of date quite quickly. So I just want to make it quite clear when I made this. So let's buy a laptop. I'm talking about machines for home, or mobile working, mid-range capability. I'm definitely not talking about a gaming machine. And the first compromise you need to make is that between the screen versus weight. The bigger the screen, the heavier the machine will be. And in addition to which, you may be offered an integrated DVD. Spreadsheets benefit from larger screens, so if you do a lot of spreadsheeting on large spreadsheets, and I mean large spreadsheets, most household accounts don't really count, then you might want a larger screen. DVD players are no longer really required. They used to be the primary means for software distribution. They aren't anymore. And a point I'd like to make is actually having bought a laptop for a while. So elements of what I would buy today are different from the ones I bought last time I bought one. So I'm talking about Windows 10 machines. I'm not talking about Macs primarily because of their price. I have other views about Macs as well, but buying a laptop is about buying a Windows 10 machine. I'm not talking about Linux because of its self-administration overhead, and the skills required to do that are scarcer. Most people will have to learn something. And I'm not talking about Chromebook because I don't consider it to be a computer because it can't run programs. Actually, that's not quite true. It can obviously run programs inside the browser, but it's not a general purpose computer. So yeah, Windows 10, reliable, it's got a long life ecosystem. It includes some majorly important software products that actually do pieces of work: Microsoft Office, OneDrive for cloud storage, and Skype for chat and video conferencing, video messaging. So what do you need when buying a computer or buying a laptop? The first thing is clearly the central processor unit. That's the computer itself. You'll need some fast memory, which is closely associated with that CPU. You need some network input-output. Computers must be able to talk to each other today, and the key three technologies are Ethernet, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Ethernet is wired, and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are wireless. You also need some local storage, which is now best implemented using solid-state disk, and there are other I/O devices that you'll require as well. Any laptop will come with the screen and a keyboard, but things like cameras, mics, speakers are desirable, highly desirable in fact, and you'll want some USB ports. Possibly a DVD drive, better external, and an external SSD microcard port is also something which is potentially useful. So let's talk a little bit about the CPUs. The design standard is owned by Intel Core. The standards are referred to as the Intel architecture standards, and this means that the CPUs themselves will need to be designed by either Advanced Micro Devices or by Intel. So how do you measure their capability? This is generally measured by cores, threads and speeds. The cores is the number of physical dies that are located on the motherboard. The number of threads is the number of threads that a core can run, and the speed is the speed of the clock. The capability is primarily a multiplication of these factors. High is good, low is not so good. But we need to consider the performance per pound. We're not interested in the highest performing CPUs and manufactured by Intel or AMD, but then we don't want the bottom of the range either. The brands Atom and Celeron are probably inadequate for our purposes, and I stick to Intel Core i5 or its AMD equivalent. As far as I'm concerned, that is good enough. While discussing what is a computer, I spoke of two cable interfaces to a laptop, basically for external connectivity, of course. One was USB and the other was Ethernet. These have their own physical design standards. Here we have a picture of the pair of them. The black is the USB, the green is the Ethernet. The USB is this connection to other devices close to you, and the Ethernet is connection to other computers, usually through an internet router. So now we know what a computer is. What do we need? I touched on the screen weight and keyboard compromise. The other aspects you want to look for are the 2-in-1, which is a touch screen, 360-degree hinge, which allows you to use your laptop as a tablet, potentially useful if you are working on a shop floor or working in a factory or working in a warehouse. But it costs money, so if you don't need it, probably best not pay for it. As I don't, and these days I optimise for weight. The current laptop that I built this on has I think a 15-inch screen and an integrated DVD. I probably wouldn't buy one of these again. Now here's the first decision, and one of the things that's quite very interesting is the way, to me, is the way my buying has changed, in that once upon a time I used to optimize for screen size to get the screen size I wanted and then fit the other things behind it. But today I think the first decision I take is, has it got 8 gig of memory? 6 gig is good enough, but 8 gig better, in the words of George Orwell. So yeah, you don't want 4 gig is not enough to run Windows 10 as a performance, particularly given some of the other decisions we're going to take. So I spoke earlier about the CPU. It used to be measured by speed, but now I recommend using the Intel generation number. And for a home CPU, a home-based machine, i5 is good enough. Let's see if anyone wants to comment about whether i3 is good enough as well, but that's what I recommend. Network I/O will mainly be by Wi-Fi, both in your home and elsewhere as well. You need the Wi-Fi router for basically for connectivity to the internet, and also has a primitive firewall on it. And for local storage, best by solid state disks, SSD, and 256 gig is enough. You don't need more. But you want to ensure you have a cloud storage offering. So if you are using high volume data objects such as pictures or video files, you have the ability to burst that 256 gig. Once you've bought your laptop, there's a couple of things you need to do. The first is to turn on Windows Upgrade. This allows Microsoft to update your operating system and ensure you have the most recent security fixes and functionality additions as well. The times when this could be done by an individual or even by a large corporation are gone. This should be done. Microsoft security tools should also be turned on. They don't need augmenting, but make sure you turn on the firewall, the antivirus software, and the file integrity checker. With respect to backing up your data, the first thing to do is to create an alternate boot device located on a thumb drive if you have a USB, which is one of the reasons you need a USB. The second thing is you need some cloud storage or an external disk device in order to keep your files safe. Cloud storage is also useful in circumstances where you may exhaust the space available on your internal storage, and you need it for backup to hold large data objects such as picture collections or videos. The final thing you need to do is make a decision about your office productivity tools, and the big choice is Microsoft versus open source. Microsoft obviously costs money, it's a subscription service, and for most individual consumers consists of the word processor offering, a spreadsheet offering, and a presentation package. These are the necessary parts of the Office tools, and so the problem is really with you. The choice is between Microsoft Office and LibreOffice. There are alternate tools you could use, but between Microsoft and LibreOffice, any files created by either could be manipulated by the other, so the choice is yours. You need a cloud offering to extend your disk capability and to allow yourself to cooperate with your phone. The offerings are OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox. Those are the obvious ones anyway. And with Microsoft Office, you also get offered the Skype chat package, which has video conferencing, but you'll probably need more because not everyone uses Skype. I need to say that the phone is probably becoming the chat device of choice these days, with the choice of SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Signal. So my final thoughts, insurance looks and where to buy it. I mean, insurance if you want. Personally, I don't. It's expensive, and there are some critical exclusions in many cases. I do put mine on the household cover to protect me against accidental loss or accidental damage or theft. On the question of how it looks, you should like it. This is not a cheap product, and there's no reason to accept something you think's ugly. Where to buy it? Well, in the UK, why not Currys or Argos? So the summary is you need 8 gig of RAM, an i5 CPU, 256 gig of SSD storage, and enough USB ports. And you want it to be as small and as light as possible. And that's it, really. Read the small print on this slide, but that's my advice on how to buy a laptop.